Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Craigellachie 23-year-old, 46% ABV. Craigellachie, first time I brought you one of their whiskeys. They do a lot of prime number age statements, 13, 17, this 23, and a 31. Also seen like a 33 single cask and a few other ones, but basically they stick to these kind of unique and interesting prime numbers. Had the 13, didn't bring that to you guys, but decided to bring this 23 because I thought enough of it. Buddy of mine bought a case and got a good deal on them. They were basically $230 per. Asked me if I wanted a couple to kind of help mitigate the cost. So, you know, took his opinion on it. It's well-aged whiskey, Speyside Distillery. And so I got the bottle, been drinking on it for about 6 months, so I've worked it about halfway down. I think I have the majority of my tasting notes down on this one. Again, wanted to bring it to you guys. So if you're unfamiliar with this distillery, it's not one that you see everywhere as far as offerings. And the only offering, again, that we get here in Columbus, Ohio is just a 13-year-old. So a couple of interesting things about this particular distillery. It uses worm tubs in the distillation process, which is just basically copper coils that go around. And then also has a pretty interesting story on the back of the label about a distillery cat. I guess at some point the cat was in the distillery, and at a certain point when the whiskey was ready, the cat would move because it was too hot, like somewhere up in near the stills, and that's when the lineman knew to, I don't know, shut it off or move to the next step in the process. Kind of an interesting story, but unfortunately I've forgotten a lot of the details. Aside from that, I want to talk about the worm tubs. They always put a batch number on this. So this particular batch number is 67-K as in Karen, A as in Apple, 23. So hopefully you can pick that up there on the camera. So let's get into the whiskey and let's see what we think. Again, 46% ABV. I believe it is unchill filtered and uncolored. Could be wrong about that. If I am, I'll put it right here. Okay, so first thing I pick up on the nose for this particular one is you do pick up some sherry influence. Not a sherry bomb by any stretch of the imagination, but you get those typical, you know, sherry notes. And a lot of spiciness, very spicy. Cinnamon, nice light sherry, almost very similar to, it's not quite as rich, but like a Balvenie 17-year-old double would, where you get just a little bit of that sherry finish and a little bit of spice and a little bit of nuttiness, slight nuttiness. Now, I will say this, when I first opened up this bottle, there was a sulfur note to it, and I guess that comes from the worm tubs, essentially going around the copper sort of brings out a sulfur note. I noticed it a lot in the 13-year-old that I tried. And I noticed it initially when I opened up this bottle, but pretty much at this point, after having time to oxidate for a few months, it's completely gone away. So what's left is just really a nice light sherry finish, or what seems like a sherry finish to me, with some nice light spiciness, and now like a barley note coming up. Toasted barley, if you will. Almost like barley on burnt toast. Some nice light fruits. Lemon for sure. Maybe a pineapple. And some really nice floral notes. I would say maybe like a lily or a daisy. I would say almost like a lilac. I haven't had this whiskey in a while, so I haven't had to drink it all today, so I'm coming at you completely stone cold sober. I have not drank in probably 8 or 9 days. And just picking up some really nice flower notes, almost kind of reminiscent of what the 2016 Spring Bank 25 gave me as far as floral, as far as like lilies and daisies and a little bit of lilac. More of that pineapple note, maybe overripe banana. And just the twins of milk chocolate maybe right there at the end. It feels on the nose heavier than 46% ABV. It feels very dense for 46%. Almost like Cleinish waxiness. Not quite Cleinish, but going down that path of like a waxy note to it. Very interesting. For the first time I opened up this bottle of whiskey, I opened up with two buddies of mine, Malta Man Cave, Keith, and Dustin, who's been on plenty of previous reviews. Really didn't know what to expect, but I got it, got it in the mail, got just a couple bottles in the mail. Wanted to start off one of our whiskey tastings with this, and everyone was really impressed by it. Now, I picked up a sulfur note right off the jump when I opened it up, where Keith and Dustin did not. At least that's my recollection of it. But again, that sulfur note is completely faded away at this point. And again, we were really kind of taken back by how fruity it was, how even though it's being only 46%, which I say only 46%, that's still a very, very hefty ABV. But it came off much stronger than that on the nose, and that's still what I'm getting here today. Just really a strong flavor profile, a strong nosing profile as far as the strength of the flavors. It very much noses as if it was a higher ABV. Now, I don't mean that from a standpoint that I'm getting alcohol, because I'm really not. I just mean how strong like the lemon is and how strong the spiciness is. You would think that is a higher ABV than the 46, at least 50%, at least in my opinion. Okay, now with a little bit more time in the glass, I'm picking up a light citrus note as well. Maybe a light orange. But it's separate from that lemon and that pineapple. It's just kind of a third fruity flavor, third fruity aroma that's in the nose. Yeah, along with that pineapple and that lemon. Very nice, strong, fruity Speyside. Pleasure on the nose. All right, first sip time. Instantly caramel. Rich caramel. I know I said it nosed higher than 46. It tastes about 46, 48% ABV on the palate to me. It's rich, it's waxy, definitely mouth coating. Really kind of hits the sides and sticks with them with a nice light milk chocolate. Definitely getting cinnamon, definitely getting a nice light oak note. Nutty, I would say nutmeg. A nutmeg to go along with that light cinnamon. Man, it's oily. It's an oily dram for only being 46% ABV. Almost comes off from a viscosity standpoint, like I said, at least 46, if not higher. You're picking up those light sherry notes kind of on the finish as well, like a raisin, cinnamon raisin to a certain degree. Then there's that citrus kind of comes in sort of at the end with that lemon and orange. It's a very impressive whiskey, especially if you can pick it up for around $230 like I did. I would definitely recommend it. Well aged, and if you like a non-peated, very Speyside-ish as far as like nice fruity sherry finished whiskey, really delivers a lot. It reminds me in some ways of a Balvenie. Kind of reminds me of the 17-year-old Doublewood as far as its basic profile, and that being the light sherry notes, the light nuttiness, vanilla, and caramel with a little bit of honey now kind of settling in with the caramel. The caramel was so strong at first on the palate. It was really the first thing I noticed when I took a sip was just as soon as I hit the palate, caramel, you swallow, you get some other things, you get the sherry, you get the vanilla, the cinnamon, the spice, but then right at the end, it just kind of comes back to like a lovely vanilla and honey. Very similar, like I said, to what like a Balvenie 17-year-old Doublewood, but just at a higher ABV and far more complex. Okay, so I added a few drops of water. I'm gonna give us a raw glass, see if I'm picking up anything different on the nose. Shockingly, a few drops of water brought that sulfur back. Yeah, that sulfur's there. I didn't notice it. It kind of went away. As the bottle went down, you put a few drops of water in, that sulfur comes back. Still spicy. It's still barley rich, but some of the floral notes have taken a step back with water. So I would say in this particular one, I can tell right away, I would prefer this neat. I know I threw in a couple drops, but with an older whiskey, it's amazing what a couple drops sometimes can do. Okay, now the sulfur's still there, but to look past it, I'm getting that lemon again. There's that barley richness again. Sugared barley. and almost like a waxy lilac. Almost like you got a lilac candle, and you lit the candle and you blew out the candle. It's almost like a little bit of that wick and like the smell of the wax drying. So there's a few more things, some more interesting things that pick up with water. So I would definitely try it with a few drops, but if you've had this whiskey a few times, just want to enjoy it, I would think that you would probably lend more towards my opinion where you think neat would probably be the way to go. At least from a nosing standpoint. All right, last sip and I'll give it a score. That rich caramel is right there. Quickly transitions into honey and vanilla. Here comes in the citrus. Light lemon. Again, oily and still viscous on the palate with a few drops of water. Very dense feeling on the palate. Far denser than what you would think of a normal 46% ABV whiskey. Really nice. I'm glad I picked up a couple bottles of this. This is something that I like to bring out kind of as a starter whiskey when I get together with a few people. As far as whiskey score, I would say this is a 90 out of 100, roughly. I mean, depending on the day, maybe I could go even as high as 91, but it does a few things really, really nice, and I think it's a great whiskey. Normally with retail prices that I've seen, they're more along the lines of $300, which I still think this whiskey is worth $300, but I don't know if having two bottles, if I would buy a third one at that price, just because there's so many other whiskeys to try out there. But again, very good whiskey. I'm going to call it a 90 out of 100. Very solid. If you guys have a chance to pick up this one, I would definitely recommend it. Way different whiskey than the 13-year-old is. A totally different experience. I've never had a chance to try the 17 or the 31, but definitely want to try to get my hands on them, bring them to you guys, tell you guys what I think, and maybe just for the sake of comparison, one day I'll do the 13-year-old, but probably not anytime soon. Anyway, if you guys had a chance to try this whiskey or another one of the Craigellachie's, I would love to hear your thoughts on the whiskey. Do you guys pick up the sulfur note like the way that I do? Because again, Keith at the Multi-Man Cave and Dustin, who's oftentimes will join me on this channel, they didn't really get that at all. I, for some reason, do get it. So maybe it's just me, but I have read a couple of reviews out there and other people have mentioned the sulfur. So if you had the chance to try this one, I'd like to know what you guys think about it. And until next time, wish you guys all the best and happy drinking.